Hello everyone, this is Dr. Sachin Londe. Today we will see a poem entitled Hymn to God the Father by John Donne. It's a very short poem and falls in the category of holy poems composed by John Donne. The outline of the present lecture is as follows. Initially, I will talk in brief about John Donne, then I will let you know the actual poem. Finally, the poem will be analyzed. So let us begin with the brief account of the poet John Donne. John Donne, born in the year 1572 in London. He was leading English poet of the metaphysical school. Donne is often considered the greatest love poet in the English language. He is also noted for his religious verse and treatises and for his sermons which rank among the best of the 17th century. He died on 31st March 1631 in London. When we talk about Donne as a literary writer, we must know that he was the chief exponent of the metaphysical school of poetry. Although he wrote masterpieces in uh, when he was alive, his collected poems appeared posthumously. His best known poems include Go and Catch a Falling Star, The Good Morrow, A Valediction Forbidding Morning, The Canonization, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Death Be Not Proud, and Sunrising. Although he wrote many love poems and holy sonnets, he also tried his hands on letters. Some of his famous letters include to Mr. Christopher the Storm, to Mr. Christopher the Calm, to Sir Henry Wotton, to Mr. T.W., to Mr. Samuel Beckett, and to Mr. I.L. Now let's move towards the next part of the lesson. I will let you know the actual poem. The first stanza of the poem goes like this. Will thou forgive that sin where I began, which was my sin, though it were done before? Will thou forgive that sin through which I run, and do run still, though still I do deplore? When thou hast done, thou hast not done, for I have more. This was the first stanza. Now the second stanza. Will thou forgive that sin which I have won others to sin, and made my sin their door? Will thou forgive that sin which I did shun a year or two, but valued in a score? When thou hast done, for thou hast not done, for I have more. Now the last stanza, that is third one. I have a sin of fear that when I have spun my last thread, I shall perish on the shore, but swear by thyself that at my death thy sun shall shine as he shines now, and therefore, and having done that thou hast done, I fear no more. This is the actual poem. Now it is time to make the analysis of the poem so that we will have the better understanding of it. See, the poem is divided into three stanzas. Each stanza consists of 6 lines. From the title, it is clear that Donne intended this piece as a hymn. It has a light musical quality which can be found in most of Donne's work. The line follows a consistent pattern of AB, AB, AB. Line 1 of all three stanza rhymes. Additionally, there is a great deal of repetition in the text. This adds to the feeling that this is a song with verses and most importantly in regard to repetitions reference. In regards to meter, this piece is mostly structured in iambic pentameter. Now I will tell you the outline of the poem. See the outline of the poem. In the outline of the poem, the speaker in the poem prays to God that he should be forgiven for all of the terrible sins he committed in his life. The poem begins with the speaker describing how the world is filled with sin. He might not be responsible for all of humanity's troubles, but he has more than enough of his own to account for. The speaker tells of how he spends most of his life in sin. He runs through it, enjoying almost every moment spent there. This is all part of a confession and the plea to God. The speaker hopes that God will look down on him fondly and take away all the guilt he feels about his life. He needs God to resolve all of his troubles. Let's move to a stanza-wise analysis of the poem. See, in the first stanza of the poem, the speaker begins by asking God an important question. He needs to know whether God is going to be able to forgive the sins of the world. These are the sins for which all of humanity suffers, but which he was not a part of it. The speaker makes sure that these sins were done before he was born, but unfortunately, because he is on earth, he is a part of it. The next line describes how the speaker is not without sin himself. He might be separate from the larger sins of the world, but that does not mean he is pure. In fact, he states that over and over he is running through sin. His inability to escape his own humanity is reflected in the repetitive lines of verse. The use of the same words at the beginning of the line, such as "Will thou forgive that sin?" in lines 1 and 3 is known as anaphora. It is used to unify the text as well as enhance its song-like qualities. The repetition is also significant, which is the structure of a prayer. The speaker makes sure that God knows that he runs through the sin which he has not done because he wants to be a sinner. He deplores his own actions but is unable to stop. The last two lines of each stanza are mostly the same. Here, he tells God that when he finishes helping and forgiving sins, there will be more to do. His sins and those of the world go on indefinitely. In the second stanza, the speaker begins with the same phrase, "Will thou forgive that sin?" This time, the question ends with the revelation that the speaker has forced others into sin. It is unclear what kind of sin he means, but it was made their door. He created the opportunity or the door for them to walk through, making it easier for them to go against God than it had been previously. The speaker states that he didn't mean to do harm to anyone's life by lending them to sin, and for that he would like to be forgiven for it. He tells God how he wallowed in the sin for a score. This vastly overshadows the meager year or two he spent shunning his sin. The stanza concludes with the same two-line refrain informing God that he isn't finished forgiving sins yet, there are still many more to come. The final stanza tells God of one of Speaker's most prominent sins. It is that of fear. Specifically, he is afraid that he is going to die before all of his sins are forgiven. They are so numerous that he may perish on shore before God gets to them all. The reference to the shore is an important one. He does not end up in heaven or hell but in the space between limbo. This is the worst case scenario in his mind. In the next lines, the speaker asks God if Jesus, his son, will be able to shine on him now as he has done up until now. Jesus' presence is a symbol of God's complete forgiveness. It would allow the speaker to take in some of its shine and stop shining. The final lines are a bit different to those of the previous two refrains. This time, the stanza ends with the speaker stating that he does not fear anymore. With Jesus there, with Jesus there to reassure and improve him, his sins are no longer increasing. He is forgiven. This is how the analysis of the poem is all. I hope that you enjoy the poem. Thank you very much.